Hello and welcome. On today's video, we're going to be taking a look at Minecraft Dungeons. It was just released, so I feel like it is pretty appropriate to have a beginner's guide to Minecraft Dungeons. This video assumes you basically don't even know what the game is. Maybe you've just heard it and only Googled Minecraft Dungeons. And where do you start from there? So let's dive into it. So here we are inside of Minecraft Dungeons. I happen to be playing this on a PC, but it is available for almost every console, other than like old consoles. I can't think of one that it is not available for. This is a brand new Minecraft game. So you have Minecraft, you have Minecraft Earth, which is a sort of Pokemon style game for Minecraft. And now we have Minecraft Dungeons. So this is not Minecraft. There's going to be a lot of things missing from the core Minecraft experience, and it is a completely new game. This is a dungeon crawler style game, which means that you're always going to have this third person view, this sort of looking down at your character view. And there's a lot of things missing. There's no crafting, there's no building, there's really no redstone, none of that. What you're going to be doing is going into maps that are slightly generated, but not really. They're I'll focus on this later. But you're going to be hacking and slashing your way through lots and lots of enemies. It's available on PC, Xbox, Nintendo Switch, and PlayStation 4. When you first play the game, you'll be dropped into a tutorial mission, and then you will end up here, and it'll look exactly like this. Eventually, you'll get a blacksmith over here, and you'll get another trader over here, and your little base will grow. Your first mission is Creeper Woods. Everything else is locked out. So let's go ahead and go into Creeper Woods. One thing that I will mention is that you can change the difficulty. Either you hit the bumpers on your controller, so I can change it from 1 to 3 right now, or using your mouse, you can just select which difficulty you want. It'll tell you a recommended power and your power right here, and the difficulty and your gear and artifact power stuff that you're going to be getting. Once you're happy, go ahead and choose Start Mission. This is a very story-driven game, so you'll get cutscenes and all sorts of story elements. I'm going to switch back to mouse and keyboard, and then switch over to my controller, and then switch back to mouse and keyboard, just kind of to show you that it's very easy to switch. I have in my notes written down controller support is very good, but I realized that what I should be writing down is mouse and keyboard support is very good, because most people are going to be playing with a controller. So you can use your mouse and keyboard. Your WASD does not work. It uses, other things like M for map and whatnot, I for inventory and that sort of thing. And you can use your mouse to click. But I'm going to switch over to the controller because most people will be using a controller to play this game. And we're just going to go ahead and play through a little bit just to give you guys a feel. We have some mobs here. I'm just going to use my hacking and slashing sword here to take care of them. I see one far away. I can also use a bow, which I can aim and then fire at that creature if I want to. This is a single and multiplayer game, so you can play with your friends through Xbox Live. So you're going to have to use your Microsoft account in order to link up with your friends and have them as a friend. At the moment, there is no cross-platform playing, so you're going to have to, if you're on Switch, you're going to have to play with your friends on a Switch. If you're on a PC, you're going to have to play with your friends on a PC. It is something that will be included in the future, is a release that will allow a Better Together update, basically, where you can play with your friends. Whenever you start to play, there are no classes, so you do not need to worry about choosing a ranger, a mage, a warrior, anything like that. Just jump in and start playing. When you start playing, you'll be launched into a tutorial mission, and you can exit out of that tutorial mission by going to the escape menu, by going to your pause menu and choosing exit tutorial. That's not a big deal at all. You'll just be dropped right into the start area that I was in the beginning of this video, but you will not get the starting artifact, which is something that I've done to save time in recording this video. So you can see in my inventory, I don't have an artifact down here. We're going to get into artifacts and stuff a little later on, but you don't get that if you start the tutorial. So let's go through a little bit of an overview of the HUD and the menus. So at the bottom, you have obviously all of, I'm going to use my mouse for this, you have all of your various different things that you need to know at a glance. You have your inventory, which you can open with I or just click on the inventory if you are using mouse and keyboard. You have your artifacts down here, your health, a health potion, which you have unlimited of. There's just a cooldown. So you can use that health potion as much as you want. You're not going to pick up health potions. You're going to pick up other types of potions while fighting. So you can, if you need to use it, and then the cooldown will happen. You have your map right here. You have two different types of maps, basically. I'm going to switch back to controller because it's a little confusing on controller. When you're on controller, it looks like you use your D-pad down to open the map, but you get this weird wireframe map, not a full map like we were looking at before. What you have to do is click and hold, and then you are given a large map. And this is a great way to tell where you have and haven't explored. And also, if there happens to be a treasure that you missed, it will show up on the map, and it's a good reason to basically go back there. These pots don't count as treasure for some reason. But if you had a treasure chest that you walked nearby but didn't realize you were close enough to pick up, it will show up on the map, which is really, really helpful. And then finally, down here at the bottom, you have your dodge attack, which looks like that. Whenever you are on your controller, you can actually use your other thumbstick. So you use one to move, and then the other one you can use to dodge. And then finally, you have your arrows, and that just switches based off of, which type of, thing you are using, if you're gonna right click or use your triggers. You also have emeralds down here in the bottom, and emeralds are, in my opinion, not that important. Really, the only place that you use the emeralds is when you're back at base. You will be able to trade a few of your emeralds for loot from different villagers that sort of show up in your base area. And so far, the loot that I've gotten from there is not nearly as good as the loot that I'm able to find when completing missions, so it hasn't been crazy useful. It seems like it's kind of just a thing that's sort of there, but doesn't really matter. Now, I just leveled up as we were playing right here, and you can see my level up right next to my player, and then you can also see my enchantment points. So whenever you level, you unlock one more enchantment point to start with. So you start off at level 1, and then you become level 2, and you get your first enchantment point. So the enchantment points you have are always going to be one off from your current level. And you use these points to enhance your gear. So it looks like I'm in a safe location. So let's open up my inventory. And then right now, all I have is a sword and a bow. Those are the only two things that I have with my gear. And each of these have enchantments. These enchantments are predefined by the item already. So you are only going to have to choose from a few different enchantments. You don't get to really decide exactly what you want. And this is very similar to the normal game of Minecraft. You throw an item into the enchanting table, and you're really only given a few options, and you can see what those options are, and then you enchant, and then you don't really know what you're going to get after that. But as you can see with this sword, when I click the enchantment button, which is Y on this controller, it will bring up this scroll. And over here in the corner, this is the enchantments area. So this sword only has one of these areas for enchantments unlocked. If you get rare things, you might have two different types of enchantments, rare like items. You may have two different types of enchantments, or obviously up to 3 different types of enchantments that you could have on this sword. So what's happening on this first slot is I am choosing between the two predefined enchantments. This sword is not enchanted at the moment, but it has these enchantments for me to choose from. One of them is leeching, which will take a little bit of health from a mob, and the other one is chains, which looks like it'll keep them bound up together for a short amount of time. I definitely want health more than I want chained creatures, so I'm going to choose a leeching. So I'm going to make sure that that one is selected, and then choose that option to enchant, which is just going to be A. So now this is an enchanted sword. You can see it from the curly Q up in the corner that this sword has been enchanted, and you can also see in the bottom of these enchantments, whoops, let's select that sword, that this has leeching on it. So now as I use this sword, you'll actually see sort of a combo multiplier as we defeat enemies. So here we go. Let's see. Whenever the enchantment triggers, it doesn't happen all the time. Oh, I got a strength potion. You can see where that strength potion is right here. This is where the enchantment would show up. Let's see if we can find any more enemies. Well, it doesn't look like I can find any. But if that leeching enchantment triggers, you'll see it right here in the same area that the strength area thing is in. Now, there's something else that we need to know, which is salvaging, but because I don't have any other tools at the moment, any other weapons, I'm not going to salvage my only sword. So we're going to get to that in a moment. Here is something that is very, very important for you to know on your first playthrough. There is a secret area in the Creeper Woods. What is this? The Creeper, I forget the name of this area, but the Creeper, I think it's the Creeper Woods. So don't quote me on that. Yes, it is the Creeper Woods. It says it right there on the map. So every time I played through this, I've made sure to go find this area. Every new character, you have to find it again. But this is what it's going to look like. So definitely make sure that you go and explore the Creeper Woods until you find this area with this crazy button that you have to push. When you push it, you get this really cool, almost redstone contraption that opens up a secret area inside of the woods, and then you walk inside. Inside of that area is this scroll on a table. When you click that, you'll see the little thing that says Achievement Unlocked Creepy Crypts. That is because the Creepy Crypts are now a location that I can visit whenever I am on the map screen back at the base. And this is really, really useful because the Creepy Crypts are basically like an infinite level. I'm gonna go ahead and open this loot. What did I get? Oh, yay! Woohoo! We can take a look at enchanting in a moment because now I have another thing. Enchanting. I meant salvaging. There we go. So quickly, how the maps work is that a normal map is basically a whole bunch of tiles, and if you replay a map, those tiles will be shifted and put in a new location. So they're handcrafted like sections, but each section may be in a different place whenever you replay a mission or replay a location, which is really nice. The Creepy Crypts are that, but on steroids, where it's very procedurally generated. You don't know what the Creepy Crypts are going to be. So that's a level or a mission that is very different from the other areas. And it's a great place to sort of train, or maybe you've done the other levels a whole bunch of times. And you just want to just play the game really fast. Creepy Crypts are a great place to do that. Before we move on to salvaging, I do want to mention these potions. They keep dropping, and maybe you've seen me use a few. These are potions that are on the ground, but they are immediately consumed whenever you pick them up. So this Shadow Brew right here says grants invisibility and boosts your next melee attack. If I use this, you can see that I become invisible, and I have a countdown in the corner because that potion was used immediately, like I mentioned. It looks like I'm not going to be able to find anybody in time to use that potion. So whenever you see potions on the ground, if you don't want their effects, you may want to wait a little while before. See, here's a strength potion, so I'll have to take this and immediately use it. I have strength for 30 seconds here, so I really want to make sure that I'm killing lots of things while that strength is still activated. Anything that falls on the ground that can be consumed, like food, potions, even I guess arrows, those are all done immediately whenever you see them on the ground. So you should keep that in mind, that if there's some type of like food thing and you know that the enemies are coming towards you and you want to wait a little bit, you should definitely wait. So even these arrows, when I pick them up, I get them immediately. Okay, now that we have a moment of quiet, let's take a look at our inventory because we have picked up quite a few pieces of loot, and let's talk about salvaging. So your inventory so far to me seems unlimited. There's probably a limit, but I've never reached it because you want to salvage weapons whenever you're not going to use them. So right here we have, let's just look at our melee weapons for a moment. We have our sword, which has the leeching enchantment, and then we have this axe that we picked up, and this has a choice of 3 different enchantments. So in the sword we looked at earlier, there was only an option for 2. Same thing with this bow. There's only an option for 2, and that's only in the first slot. In this axe, in the first slot, there's an option for 3, so we can check these out. One is looting, which increases the chance that mob drops consumables. One is poison cloud, and one is stunning. So possibly, I'm like, oh my gosh, I really, really, really want this looting enchantment. This is the one that I want. Okay, let me upgrade. Let me go ahead and use my... Oh wait, I already used my enchantment point on this axe. Well, the thing is, I can only have 1 melee weapon at a time, so I want to get rid of this sword and switch it out for the axe. And I also really want that enchantment point back, but darn it, I used it on that sword. Well, here comes the awesomeness that is salvaging. So whenever you salvage a weapon, so we're gonna go ahead and salvage it, you'll get emeralds for that weapon, but you'll also get any of your enchantment points back. Remember, the enchantment points are what let you enchant. So we're gonna go ahead and salvage the sword. There we go. And now you can see that we get that enchantment point back. So now we can go over to the axe, move it into our slot, go ahead and enchantment. Sure, let's choose looting here. And now it is enchanted with that enchantment point. My enchantment points have dropped down to 0. If for whatever reason I wanted that back, I would have to go ahead and salvage that as well to get it back. By the way, I would strongly encourage reading about each of these different types of weapons. So I have an axe versus a sword. This axe is an effective way to whatever. You can read this flavor text if you want, but really up here it'll tell you its melee damage and also if it has any special modifiers. This one has a spin attack move. So as I hit this guy here, I'll just do it again. You can see that I spin in a full 360 degrees, which is really good if you're someone who gets surrounded easily by lots and lots of mobs. Maybe you would favor an axe and you would kind of not want to choose a sword or any other type of weapon. There's a whole bunch. And so, oh, by the way, you just saw the looting enchantment that just triggered and it dropped that potion on the ground, which we'll use actually right now as a strength potion. It used it again. I picked up Shadow Brew and consumed it immediately. So you can see when the enchantment is used. By the way, if you ever happen to pick up TNT like this, how it works is when you use your ranged weapon button, you toss it and you can see this line where it's gonna explode. And so beware, because that also will hurt you and it's not fun. If you ever see buildings that are lit up like this, you can enter into them and your supplies are just a little respite for you to pick up some type of loot and food. And if you're playing in multiplayer, each person who's playing can open that thing. So if you're playing with 3 people, you can open that 3 times. So keep that in mind. Don't just open it once. If you ever see a pig with a chest on it, make sure you shoot him a lot. Kill him, because he will have loot inside of him. So I just picked up my first artifact that goes down in the slots below the character over there on the side. And I also picked up a rare weapon, which is pretty cool. This does 15 to 25 melee, and my other one does only 13 to 20. So we're gonna go ahead and salvage this to get back our points. I've leveled up since the last time, so I can actually go ahead and make sure that this gets enchanted, and I can also enchant a bow. Also, if you salvage something that you didn't want to salvage, you do have an undo button, so you can see over there that I just salvaged that bow. If that was something you didn't want to do, you can undo it, but you can only undo the last thing that you salvaged. And also, if you salvage it and then leave the menu, so if we hit back and then go back in the menu, that option is gone. So you have to undo that basically immediately. Artifacts are the little items right here on the next to your health, and those are activated and then have a cooldown. So I have these boots of swiftness here, and there's a ton of different artifacts. Please do not forget about them. I have definitely seen it and felt that it is easy to forget about artifacts, and they can really, really change if a fight is going good or bad. So please use those artifacts. So I'm going to purposely die here to show you what happens when you die, and bam, you died. You can see up in the corner, lives left 2. So you use basically a totem of undying, and you have 3 of them. And if you run out of totems of undying, then the game is over and you have to retry the mission. If you are playing with in multiplayer, you will be able to have a cooldown. So a player will fall but will not immediately die, and your friends can try to revive that player. If all of the people playing multiplayer die, then that is when you use up a totem of undying and you only get 3. So if that happens where your entire party dies 3 times, then you are out of luck and you have to restart the mission. I would highly encourage going and exploring while you're playing this game. By the way, the map shows you, like I mentioned, chests and things like that. So there's a chest over on that other side that I didn't pick up. I didn't even know about that. So check the map often. Also, there's this button here that when you land on it, it does something. And I don't know what it does. If you know what this does, please comment down below and I will pin the comment that is truthful, because I have no idea what that button does. I have looked all over to try to figure out what the heck that button does. I don't know. Oh my god, it was hidden in a tree. What the heck, sneaky chest. This next tip is huge and will definitely be something that is coming in hand, that comes in handy. Keep an ear out for special sounds. You could may be able to barely hear it, but there is a glowing, sort of ringing sound going on right now, and that is the sound of treasure. So right there, there is the treasure. Sometimes after you open the treasure, the sound goes away and then it'll come back even if it's an open treasure. But I'm gonna walk away from it and walk back towards, so hopefully, and maybe even turn up my music 1 second. All right, I've turned off all other sounds except for like the sound effect sounds. So as I walk this way, listen closely. Whoa. That is the sound of treasure. And when I pick it up, it'll go away. So keep an ear out for that weird glowing sound, and it'll tell you that there's treasure in the area. Sometimes it's hard to find. Sometimes you have to go behind stuff to find the treasure. So keep an ear out. You always get a bonus chest and some type of item for completing a mission, and we just completed that mission there. So let's go ahead and add that tasty bone. And like I mentioned, this blacksmith shows up. Also, check your spawn area for these chests. Sometimes they're a little bit more hidden. At least they were in the beta. I haven't noticed them being too hidden in the actual release. But those chests will give you some extra coins. You got a blacksmith here. You can trade for some piece of random gear. Looks like I got the evocation robe, which is pretty cool. And we can go and check out that. What does it do? Gives me 1+ health. Currently, my wolf armor does the same thing. Artifact cooldown and movement speed. Health potions heal nearby allies and 20% weapon damage boost. So depends on what you want, and you can choose, whatever type of armor you want, but just make sure to check those little stats. And before we leave, I wanted to mention a little bit about how items work during multiplayer, because it is very confusing. So consumable items, that would be arrows, food, and potions. Those are shared amongst the group, and if one player uses it, it is removed for the other players to be used. So if there's like, say, 2 players, and one is really low health and one is really full health, and the full health person eats the food, that food has disappeared for the person with a really low health. There's an exception to this. Some artifacts and some enchantments will drop food for other players, and in those rare cases, that food will only show up for that particular player. Sometimes it's not the person who created it, sometimes it is. So that gets a little bit confusing, but in general, if it's from a chest or from a mob, those are shared amongst the group. Now, on the other hand, items that would be weapons, so melee, range, or armor, or even artifacts, those are per player, and the rest of the group will not see those lying on the ground. They won't even show up in their game. So if you open up a chest and you see some really cool armor on the ground, you do not have to feel guilty for picking that up yourself. And if you're like, oh, you should use this armor because it matches blah, blah, blah. Well, the other people, they can't see that armor. That is only for you, and there isn't a way to transfer those items from person to person. So that will be yours forever. So to reiterate, consumable items, potion, food, and arrows, those are shared amongst the group and need to be given to the most needy players. And then weapons and armor, those are only for you, so you can go ahead and pick those up. There is an arrow indicator whenever you are playing with other people next to their name, so you can check quickly to see what their arrow count is. Same thing with their health, I guess I should say. So you may want to, before you pick up either arrows or food, take a look at your friends or family or whoever you're playing with, random strangers, I don't know, and tell if they need that item more, and either take it for yourself or leave it for them to take. And that about wraps it up for this Minecraft Dungeons Beginner's Guide. I hope that you found this useful. If you did, please give this video a big old thumbs up. Also, make sure you subscribe for future videos, tips, tricks, tutorials, and spotlights here on OMG Craft. And we'll see you in the next video. Bye!